Hello and welcome to another tutorial with me, Jo from J.H.Leather. Today we'll be learning about the tools used in saddlery. Okay, so we're going to start with a few basic tools that you can get from your local hardware store. We've got a retractable tape measure. We've also got an engineer's set square. This is quite a small one to allow the thickness of the leather to fit underneath it nicely. I think it's about 3 inches, the one that I have. You also need a scratch awl, which is just basically a pointed awl, which you'll be using to mark out your leather work with. We've got some snips. Obviously this is used for sort of cutting your threads. You also want to get yourself a ruler. The best ones are metal because they do last a lot longer, they are a lot more sturdy. And you'll want it in an inch scale because everything we do will be in inches. I also got a pair of pliers. This would be for sort of taking needles out if they're being a bit stubborn, as well as removing tacks where you've tacked sort of like turns together. You'll also need to get yourself a tack hammer. This is just used for sort of tacking turns together and just tacking sort of different bits of leather together before stitching. Also a mallet. You can get different sorts of mallets. I've got a wooden sort of basic one. You can get rawhide ones. I find that I do get on quite well with just this basic wooden one. Okay, so here we have the head knife. This is the sort of most important tool really. This is what we'll be using to sort of cut sort of leather with, as well as to skive turns, so it's got to be nice and sharp. Okay, so the next tool we have is an edge tool. You do get these in different sizes. This is a number 1 edge tool. I use this on the edges of the leather and just sort of takes the sharpness sort of out of the edges. I'll just show you how sort of use it here. Basically it just goes along so the side of the leather and literally just takes that little bit off the edge. Okay, so the next tool we have is the strap cutter. As the name suggests, it's for cutting straps. It's got a slidable sort of gauge on it. It is rulered in inches and centimetres, as you can see. The widest you can cut, I think, is 4 inches, going right the way down to sort of 1/8 of an inch. Basically, you sort of undo the screw at the top, slide the sort of scale through to where you want it, and tighten it up again, and then just put it through your leather. And as you can see, it cuts nice straight straps. Okay, so our next tool is a set of dividers. These are adjustable, as you can see, sort of with the nut on the side. These are used for sort of marking equal distances between holes. And they are also used when you're stitch marking. You'll draw the line sort of on the leather and it will be nice and even the whole way across. Okay, so next up we have the stitch marker. The one I've got here is a number 10. So basically all that means is there'll be 10 stitches per inch. You do get different sizes. The one I use the most is a number 7. So there'll be 7 stitches sort of per inch. The stitch markers also themselves come in different sizes. This is a 1 inch number 10 that I have. I've also got sort of 1/2 inch, and you can also get down to 2 tooth stitch markers sort of for those really intricate bits. You can also get sort of a pricking wheel. Basically it's got interchangeable heads which are sort of set at sort of like, you know, sort of 7, 8 and 10s sort of stitches per inch, and they've got interchangeable heads on them. Okay, so here we have a rotary hole punch. It's got a set number of hole sizes that you can punch with it, and you just rotate the wheel around to the size that you want. Mine also have a lever action. This just makes it easier for punching holes because notoriously leather is quite hard, and it just makes it a lot easier to do. Okay, so needles are next on our tool list. These are Saddler's harness needles. I use the harness needles because they are blunt on the end, so when you're stitching you're less likely to stitch through sort of your threads. They come in different sizes. Number 2 are the larger of them, and number 4 is a bit smaller for sort of smaller threads and sort of smaller stitch holes. Right, so beeswax is quite important when we're stitching. You want to run your threads through it a few times and then run your threads through your fingers. This just gives it a waterproof coating, and also any fluffy bits on your threads will smooth down. So alls come in many different sizes. You can get different handles for them as well. So the one on the right hand side has an adjustable handle, so you can unscrew it and put a new blade in if you want. The small handle on the left is a fixed blade, so once it's set in, you know, that's it then. You get different lengths of blades. The smaller blade that I'm showing you now is generally my everyday one. You can use it sort of for 10 as well as for sort of some of the larger numbers of stitch markers, and the large one I use for very thick leather and for using very sort of large stitch marks. So when it comes to staining, there are lots of stains you can use. You can use pre-made ones, or you can sort of mix your own. I'm using a powdered based stain mixed with sort of water and wallpaper paste, and you just use it with your dauber and paint it on the edge of your leather bit that you've been sort of working on, and just rub it in with a cloth to get it nice and shiny. You can also use what's called a bone folder. This again is just used for polishing the edges. You can get wooden sort of polishing sticks as well, which sort of give the same effect. It's just sort of polishing and shining up the edges of the leather. Right, so this is the screw crease. It is adjustable, sort of with the screw on the side. And basically we use it in conjunction with a crease heater. I use a little electric hob because it works well for me. You can also use the little sort of gas flame torches. Basically you heat it up and it draws a nice permanent line on your leather. Right, so here we have a crew punch. They come in many different sizes. They are measured in a couple different ways. You can get them measured in millimeters. My sets are actually numbered, so I've got sort of like a 36, 37, 38 for example. The higher the number, the larger the hole you're going to punch. The best way to do this is sort of mark it out with your dividers like I've just done. It just allows you to get the crew right in the centre of the strap. So when it comes to actually punching your crew, you want to put your leather that you're working on top of something just to protect sort of your tools. I've put mine on a bit of scrap leather. You can get lead blocks and sort of rubber sort of mats that you can use. I find that the leather sort of works perfectly well. Alright, so as I said earlier, you get many different sizes of edge tool. This is a number 6. Basically, once you've punched a crew, you want to take the back of it out a bit with a larger edge tool. This just allows the buckle turn to fit sort of more snug sort of in that turn. So basically you just want to use it and just go around the underneath side of the crew punch. Right, so here we have some saddler's clams. Basically this holds the leather whilst you stitch it. It's got a wing nut on it. It just allows you to tighten it up or loosen it as needed. And basically, like I said, it just holds your leather for when you're stitching. You can get them in different sizes. This is, like I said, a full-size saddler's clams. They do go right down to little stitching ponies that you can just sit sort of on your sofa with. Right, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos and tutorials. We've also got a page over at Patreon at www.patreon.com/JH.Leather. Here you can sponsor us for as little as $1 a month and we'll be able to create more and better videos for you guys to watch. Thank you very much.